You're listening to As Feds Probe DC Crime Stats, some police eager to help build a case, a news story written by Jenny Gathright and Olivia George, and read by an AI-generated voice. DC police officers are feeding information to the Justice Department as it probes accusations of manipulated crime data, according to the DC Police Union and 5 other people familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss an investigation in progress. The voluntary cooperation of about 3 dozen from the police force, according to 3 of the people, reflects long-standing frustrations about how violent crime is categorized by supervisors, and surfaces as public safety in DC continues to capture the president's attention. Some rank-and-file officers and detectives have complained for months, in some cases years, that managers were recording serious crimes as more minor ones to make their police districts appear safer or avoid the ire of top department brass. Some kept lists, documenting cases where they believed a higher-up improperly classified a crime as a lesser offense. One such tally, obtained by the Washington Post, lists more than 150 instances since March of 2024, where staff in a Southeast DC police district believed offenses were, at least initially, inappropriately classified. At the heart of the Justice Department probe, and another by a House committee, is whether there has been a widespread effort to intentionally downplay crime on city streets. Criminologists say classifying crimes is an often subjective and evolving process. Incidents can be redefined as investigators uncover more evidence, and disagreements don't necessarily point to corruption. In DC, officers and supervisors have clashed over details like whether an offense was a robbery or a theft, or whether a weapon used in an assault qualified as potentially deadly. Some in the police force say these arguments are part of a pattern of manipulation by supervisors to achieve a long-term appearance of violent crime reduction. At first, the notes kept by officers were not a politically motivated thing, and were instead an effort to prove what some officers saw as a persisting problem, one former detective said. Now, with separate investigations underway at the U.S. Attorney's Office for D.C. and the House Congressional Committee that oversees the district, the long-standing concerns have found a receptive audience. D.C. Police spokesman Tom Lynch said the department is cooperating, but would not comment further on the investigations. D.C. Police Union Chairman Gregory Pemberton, armed with information compiled by officers, said the union has been aiding the investigations. Pemberton has been a vocal critic of department leadership and called the recent temporary federal intervention a drastic but necessary step. The police department is playing fast and loose with how they report their data so that they can report favorably to the citizens about crime. And I don't think it's fair to the city, Pemberton said. I don't think it's fair to the police department. And it's certainly not fair to the victims. In August, a week after President Donald Trump took the unprecedented step of seizing control of DC's police department, the Washington Post reported that the Justice Department launched its investigation. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee launched an investigation of its own. Trump and his allies have repeatedly challenged the accuracy of local crime statistics to justify his declaration of a crime emergency. In August, the president wrote on social media, DC gave fake crime numbers in order to create a false illusion of safety. Of 8 current or former DC police employees interviewed by the Post, many of whom spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss matters under investigation, all said they think crime has fallen over the past 2 years. Though most said they were skeptical that some types of violent crime have dropped as steeply as city leaders claim. Some of the skepticism has been directed at how shootings are classified, particularly those that do not result in injuries. Supervisors and the rank and file often disagree about crime classification, and in many cases, it's a reasonable difference of opinion, according to 6 of the current and former officers interviewed by the Post. Still, the willing participation of officers in the investigations could put senior DC police officials under a microscope, and once again place DC in the crosshairs of a presidential administration that has appeared eager to weaponize its unique power over the liberal city. DC Mayor Muriel E. Bowser, Democrat, and Police Chief Pamela A. Smith have both vowed to cooperate with the investigations while downplaying the allegations. We know that crime has gone down in our city, and it has gone down precipitously over the last 2 years, Bowser said at an August news conference when asked about the scrutiny of DC police data. In contrast, Pemberton has positioned himself as a vocal skeptic of the department's crime data. He said he hopes the investigations will change department leadership's behavior. Crime might have ticked down from 2023, Pemberton said, but I certainly don't think it's down in the amounts that the department is claiming it is. Internal gripes about crime data have existed for years in many police departments nationwide, including among DC police. Years ago, female officers reported concerns to the DC Council that commanders were manipulating local crime statistics, said Lisa Burton, a former DC officer. They were incentivized by monetary awards and/or recognition at weekly crime briefings, she said. Burton was among several black women who sued the department in 2021 for alleged discrimination. The litigation surfaced claims about high-ranking officials minimizing crimes to boost their careers. This summer, with White House attention already on the city in anticipation of Trump's August move to federalize D.C. police, complaints about city crime data again burst into public view. NBC Washington reported in July that 3rd District Police Commander Michael Pulliam had been under investigation since the spring for allegedly manipulating crime classifications in his district. The findings of the investigation, which launched after Pulliam filed a workplace discrimination complaint against an assistant chief, are not public. Bowser has said the police chief investigated every district and found issues only in Pulliam's. And even then, she didn't believe the Pulliam probe substantiated many instances of improper classification. Pulliam denies the claims, and Pemberton doubts Pulliam is guilty of deliberate manipulation, telling the Post he had never known Pulliam to be dishonest. But several current and former D.C. police officers interviewed by the Post allege D.C.'s police department has a deeper problem with downgrading violent crimes, one that some say has recently worsened. Over the past 6 months, really over the past year, it's become ubiquitous, Pemberton said. The DOJ and House oversight probes were particularly well-timed, launched as some officers were eager to air their grievances. Plus, many in the D.C. department have been critical of Smith, alleging she has created a retaliatory environment, particularly among command-level staff. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Janine Pirro's office is helming the DOJ investigation, the Washington Post has reported. Stephen Vandervelden, a former colleague from her time prosecuting cases in Westchester County, has been in contact with D.C. police as part of the probe, according to Pemberton and 3 other people familiar with the matter who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss an investigation in progress. Pirro declined to comment Friday. A spokesperson for her office did not respond to written questions, and Vandervelden did not respond to requests for comment. The House Oversight Committee, chaired by Representative James Comer, Republican Kentucky, has summoned police commanders for closed-door interviews. Initially scheduled to begin September 23rd, they are now expected to take place in late October and early November. One category at the focus of some officers' concern is endangerment with a firearm, a new crime created by the D.C. Council through legislation last year, meant to address situations where someone fires a gun in public, but police are unable to prove they deliberately shot at someone. Pemberton and 3 other current or former D.C. police officers told the Post that officials had been advocating for the charge to be used more often than they felt appropriate, including in cases they believed would be better categorized as assault with a dangerous weapon. Assault with a dangerous weapon shows up in the violent crime data posted on the department's public website. Endangerment with a firearm does not. In the 7th District in Southeast D.C., where frustrated officers compiled more than 150 instances of disagreements with supervisors over crime classifications, 7 involved endangerment with a firearm. The list shows the initial determination was not always the final one. The classification was later changed to include a higher charge in almost half of all incidents. Others remained as the supervisors determined, including a case in August of 2024, where a victim and a witness said a suspect fired a gun in their direction, striking multiple vehicles and injuring a person with broken glass from a vehicle, according to the public police report. The crime was classified as endangerment with a firearm. The person who logged the incident in the list wrote that it qualified as an assault with a dangerous weapon. Still, the public police report doesn't include enough information to say why a supervisor chose a certain crime classification, or whether that choice was wrong. Lynch, the police spokesperson, declined to comment on the list or his knowledge of its existence. Alexis Picaro, a criminologist at the University of Miami who led the Bureau of Justice Statistics during the Biden administration, cautioned against jumping to conclusions that D.C. police were purposefully concealing violent crimes. He emphasized that the D.C. police website and the FBI website both show crime falling in the city. Homicides, perhaps the most difficult crime to conceal, have fallen in each of the past 2 years. These deadly weapon assaults, they're categorized so differently across the United States, he said. The story is, regardless of how you code this stuff, the D.C. crime numbers are coming down. Aaron C. Davis, Jeremy Roebuck, and Salvador Rizzo contributed to this report.